Hello students, this is Mrs. Youd. Today I'm going to teach you Chapter 2, Lesson 1. This has to do with congruent figures and it's for my regular Math 8 class. So my students should have out their spiral notebook right now, and the very first page they should go ahead and put a title up at the top, which I have already written here for you. It's 2.1 lesson, Congruent Figures. You will also need out your RPJ. We will be doing some problems out of the RPJ as well. So if I write it down, you should also be writing it. It is very important that you probably will need to pause the video in order to keep up with me because I will be writing things very quickly and they will just appear. So as soon as that happens, you need to pause the video so that you can get caught up with me. And that's going to be how it works for all of my lessons. So I hope that you just get used to following along that way. If you were actually in my classroom, I would be teaching this way as well, except for, of course, I would go a lot slower. But since I'm doing this through a video, it's easy for you to pause and get caught up. So the biggest key idea for this section is congruent figures. Congruent figures are figures that have the same size and the same shape. For example, if I had these two triangles written here, and this triangle on the left was triangle ABC, so that's the name of those angles, and the triangle on the right was DEF, and I told you that these two triangles are congruent. So one thing I could say is that triangle ABC is congruent, and the congruent symbol looks like an equal sign with a little tilde or enye on top of it. So triangle ABC is congruent to triangle DEF. And once again, this symbol means congruent. So if you ever see that symbol, it means that those two figures have the exact same shape and the exact same size. So a couple of things to know about these triangles. Like I said, they have the same shape and size. So if you looked at like this angle B and this angle E here, those are matching angles. And so they are called corresponding angles. Okay, so that's one of our vocab words is the words corresponding angles. So those are the matching angles whenever you have two congruent figures. Just like we have corresponding angles, we also have corresponding sides. For example, side AC and side DF are the matching sides, and so those are called corresponding sides. Okay, so once again, we have congruent figures. Congruent figures are figures that have the same size and same shape. And within congruent figures, you have corresponding angles that are ones that are matching, and also corresponding sides, which are the ones that are also matching sides. So here we have this, it says triangle ABC is congruent to triangle DEF. So if we were trying to find all of the corresponding angles and all of the corresponding sides for this triangle, for these two triangles, we could look at the picture. We can see that B and E are corresponding angles, but we can also take a look at the congruence statement here. Notice that B is the second letter in, and that corresponds to letter E, which is also the second letter in. So that means that these two angles, because they're the second letter, are corresponding. So it makes a big difference. You want to make sure that if you're writing a congruent statement, if you choose triangle ABC, for example, you have to put it in the right order for the second one. We could, instead of saying triangle ABC, I could have said triangle BCA, but if I did that, I would have to look and see, okay, B is here, and the corresponding angle for B is E, so that means I'd have to start with E here, and then I could look at, okay, C corresponds to, here's C here, it corresponds to F, and so that would be written next. And lastly, I could look and see that the last letter A, which is here, corresponds to D, and so that's what gets written there. So it's important that when you write your congruent statement, you want to definitely make sure that they're in the right order. It doesn't really matter how you start, but how you start definitely determines how you write it later on. Okay, so you should all be on page 24 of your RPJ. If you don't have it, pause the video and go get it, and then turn to page 24. So it says that we're told that the figures are congruent, so that's given to us. And then it says name all of the corresponding angles and all of the corresponding sides. Okay, so we're told that the two figures are congruent. Sometimes it's helpful to look at the picture, but sometimes it's also helpful to write the congruent statement first. So I'm going to write the congruent statement. If I look at this, it looks like angle A and angle J are corresponding angles. So I'm going to write my first shape here. I'm going to start with A and then just go around A, B, C, D. All right, so this will be A, B, C, D is congruent to. And since I started with A, I have to start with J, and then I'm just going to go around just like I did on the other one. So J, K, L, M. The reason why I do that is because now I don't need to look at the picture anymore. All I need to do is look at this to help me find the corresponding angles and corresponding sides. So for my corresponding angles, I'm going to start with the figure on the left. So I'm going to say angle A. Now how I write an angle symbol, if you look in the book, it's just usually like a slanted L like that. But for me personally, it gets really confusing if I start writing fast. So I always like to put a little arc in it like this. And so this means angle. Okay, and it's a good habit to get into. When I was teaching geometry, sometimes you would get something crazy, like you would say angle A is greater than angle B, and then if you didn't put this little arc symbol in here, it just got hard to read later on. So it's a good habit to get into to put those little arc symbols in. Okay, so going back to our problem here. So we have angle A and what angle? And then I have angle B and angle C and angle D and. So we're trying to find the corresponding angles. So if I look at angle A, I see that it is corresponding to angle J. And I notice that's how I wrote it as well. A corresponds with J there. So I can say angle J. Okay, my next one, it says that we have angle B, so that's our second letter, and so that would go to angle K. Again, I can see that on the picture as well, angle B and angle K. All right, so now angle C, if I look at that, it corresponds to angle L, and I can look at the picture as well. So that's going to say angle L. And lastly, angle D corresponds to angle M, and again on the picture I can see that. So angle M here. Okay, and that's all there is to it for the corresponding angles. Now we need to find the corresponding sides. So we have 4 different sides. I'm just going to list them here for the one on the left. We have AB, and I'm going to put a little mark above it to show that that's a segment. So we have AB, BC, CD, and DA. Where did I get those from? Well, if you look at this picture here, here's one side, AB, that's that. Then I have BC, which is here, CD, which is here, and DA, which is here. Okay, now that I have all 4 of my sides, I can look up here. So I have AB corresponds to JK. Okay, and if I look at BC, which is my second one here, those are the middle 2, so that would be KL. And then I have CD, which is the third and the fourth, so that's going to be LM. And lastly, I have DA, which is the last letter and the first letter. So that means it would be the last letter M and the first letter J. Okay, so now let's go ahead and, so number 1 is finished. So now let's go ahead and look at number 2. So number 2 is, you'll notice that the reason, this is why you really want to write a congruent statement, because when you have something like this, it's kind of, notice it's upside down. One of them is upside down. So it looks as if M and S go together. So I'm going to start with that. So I'm going to start with going M, and then I'm going to go clockwise around. So M, N, J, K, L is how I'm choosing to write that. So I'm going to write that M, N, J, K, L. And I'm going to say that that's congruent too. So since I started with M, I have to start with S. And since I went clockwise, it doesn't appears that I can go, since I went M, N, I think I can go S, T, and then P, Q, R. So that's what I'll go ahead and do for that. S, T, P, Q, R. So the reason why I decided especially on this one is since it's upside down, it's going to get a little bit confusing when I have to write my corresponding angles and corresponding sides. Okay, so I'm going to write down all of my angles for this one on the left. So that would be M, N, J, K, and L. And then I'll write the word and. And especially now I'm going to be using, I'm not going to even look at the pictures here. Instead, I'm going to be using this symbol or this statement up here. That's going to help me out a lot. So M is my first one. It goes with S. So that would go with angle S. And then N is the second one. It goes with the second one, which is angle T. Okay, I'd like you to go ahead and fill out the rest of these on your own. See if you can get them right and pause the video, turn it back on and see if you did it right. Okay, that's what I got. Double check your work and see if you got that right. Let's take a look at the corresponding sides. So I am going to take a look at this first shape here, and I'm just going to go around. So we'll have a side MN, and then NJ, JL, KL, and LM. So I'm going to write all of those here. Okay, so my first side is MN, so that corresponds with ST, which are my first two letters. And then I have NJ, and so those are my second two letters, second and third, and so that's TP over here. And why don't you go ahead and pause the video, see if you can fill in the rest of these on your own. Okay, check your answers and see if you got it right. If you did not, see if you can find your mistakes. The second set of problems, it says tell whether the two figures are congruent. So are they? Not yes or no. And also to explain your reasoning. So remember the definition of a congruent triangle is that they're equal in size and they have corresponding sides and angles that are also equal. So let's take a look at number one. I see that I have an angle here that corresponds to that. So that's so far so good. I see that I have an angle here that can correspond to that one, and an angle here that corresponds to this. So far we have all equal angles. Now let's take a look at the side lengths. So I have a side length of 6, so that works. I have a side length of 5, and so that works. And lastly, I have another side length of 5, and so that works. So these two triangles are definitely congruent. So we're going to say yes. They are congruent. And the reason why is because they have the same size and the same shape. Okay, let's take a look at number 4. So let's first look at our angles. So all I see are two different kinds of angles here. We have a right angle there, that looks good. We have another right angle here, that looks good. So far the angles look good. Let's check out our side lengths. So I see a side length of 3 here. Uh-oh, I see a side length of 5. Nope. That's not congruent. So we're going to say no, they are not congruent. And the reason is that the side lengths are not equal. The corresponding side lengths are not equal. Okay, let's take a look at this last problem here. It says the top of the two desks are identical. So this desk here and this desk here are identical. Another word for identical is congruent. So that means these two desks are congruent. What is the length of the side NP? So we need to find where NP is. It looks like NP is here. So we're trying to find out what this is. I'm going to put an X there because that's an unknown. But we are told that the two desks are identical. So if we look at the corresponding side of NP is here, which is EF. And so if those two sides are equal, we know that this NP has to also equal 3 feet. So our answer is that NP is equal to 3 feet. Okay, the next one says side AB, so that's here, is congruent to side CD. All right, so I'm going to write that in my picture to help me out. We're told that AB, and I'm going to put a little 1 tick mark, is equal to CD, which is here. Okay, and remember corresponding sides are equal, so that means that this side AB should equal JK over there. So I'm going to go ahead and mark that as well. And that means that LM also has to be equal as well because of the corresponding sides being equal. All right, so let's say side AB is congruent to side CD. We wrote that. What is the length of AB? Well, we're told we have the 6 feet here, which means that this length has to also be 6 feet, and that means that this length has to be 6 feet as well. So those are all 6 feet in length. So our answer is that AB equals 6 feet. Okay, that's it for today. If you're one of my students and you need help on this, please don't hesitate to make an appointment with me so that I can help you. Thanks for watching.